Welcome back to another episode of Autodidactica. I am half of your host, Glenn Clark.
I am the other half, Matt Paul.
And today, whatever time of the planet you're actually listening to this podcast, we're going to be talking about fascism in America, which is fun, but I kind of need to warm up to get into that topic. I'm exhausted. I just started a new job and my circadian rhythm has been very confused because I basically had to flip my hours backwards. So I'm a very tired little autodidact. How are you? How are you, Matt Paul, other half of
I
host?
am also a tired corporate drone. I did not have to adjust my circadian rhythms, although I should, because they are perpetually out of whack.
I was going to say, do you even have circadian rhythms?
I do not.
Arguably, I do not either. And that's why they're confused, because I'm forced into a rigid schedule.
Yeah, circadian, never heard of her.
Or him. It could be a night circadian.
My circadian.
The night with all the regulated sleep.
Circadian. You could do a whole skit with circadian.
I could, or a series of novels, The Adventures of Circadian.
Yeah. He's like the figment of the imagination of like a overworked corporate worker.
Right.
He's constantly like following him around while he drones on throughout the day. He's getting coffee and circadians just like prancing through the lobby of the Starbucks.
Yes. I like it. And then like when it's time to go to sleep, he just lies down, goes to sleep. And everybody's like, how does he do that? Then he wakes up just in time to go to work. Always on time. Gives all his energy to the corporate overlords.
Meanwhile, circadian is jousting in the lounge.
Yes. I like it. I should get on that. I should write that.
You could write that.
I could write it tomorrow.
It would get very weird very quickly.
Yeah, probably. I mean, for one thing, I would be writing it. So
yes.
For the other thing, it's The Adventures of Circadian.
And Greg.
And Greg? Is Greg his horse? Or his friend? Like,
yeah, no, his haunt.
His haunt?
Yeah.
Okay.
The office worker is Greg.
Got it. I love that. Yeah, there's just all these normal office drones that Circadian works with. Heck yeah, I love it.
The horse can be like Peaches or something.
Peaches. Like, does he keep the horse in the parking lot with everybody's
No,
cars?
No, it's in the apartment.
Okay, nice.
It's in the overpriced 1-bedroom apartment.
Oh, okay.
Cool. Where Greg, with a master's degree in marketing, is just barely making it out of the mailroom at his corporate job.
I like it.
And his circadian rhythms are not good, and that's mostly because of his, he's so sleep deprived that he is now hallucinating a literal like armor-clad knight with a horse in his apartment.
Even better. I like that. Like, it's kind of like, did you ever see that show? What was it called? I was obsessed with this show when I first lost my mind because I found it so freaking relatable. Dude in a dog costume, like Australian guy, and the Hobbit guy, Frodo, Elijah Wood, and this dog. You know what I'm talking about?
I have no idea, but I am intrigued.
Oh my gosh, it was amazing. And I was like
a late night show.
I saw it on Netflix. I don't know if it's still on Netflix. And there's an Australian version and an American version. I saw the American version, but the same guy plays the dog in both. So I kind of want to see the Australian version. Why can't I remember what it was called? It was just the name of the dog. But like the whole premise is like you don't know if Elijah Wood's character is actually talking to this dog because it's his neighbor's dog, or has he committed suicide and is he in hell, or is he hallucinating this dog who's like always telling him to do wrong things? Like there was one.
Elijah Wood played that so well.
Oh my gosh, he did. Because it's like, he's had some sort of like episode. Like he's had a really hard series of events in life. And he plays just kind of bewildered crazy so well. But yeah, so he has those crazy yet innocent eyes. And meanwhile, there's this dog. Like some guy like does him wrong, and the dog's like, rape him.
Yeah,
you should rape him because that's what that's what a dog would do, right? The dog is always telling him to do like horrible, criminal, insane things.
And put sugar in his gas tank, like.
Yeah, if I ever remember the name of that show, I will properly recommend it to you.
And I will properly watch it.
But yeah, that the circadian concept reminds me of that. Like, is Greg hallucinating circadian because he's so sleep deprived? Or is there actually this knight with well-ordered sleep patterns and a horse named Peaches living in his apartment?
And like circadian is like begging Greg to go to sleep. Like, please, you've got that big meeting tomorrow, that big presentation. Please go to sleep. And he just like rolls over and keeps scrolling through Twitter or something.
Right. Or he's like, sure, just one more chapter.
Yeah.
Or one more episode on Netflix. Yes. In which case, sleep, what's that?
Yeah.
It's like Greg will go to bed, Circadian will get him nice and tucked in. Like Circadian will be sitting there playing his like lyre or something and singing him lullabies to make him go to sleep, and Greg will fall asleep, but then like he'll wake up in the middle of the night with some novel idea and have to sit down and start typing notes.
And what's worse is that like Greg is actually circadian as well, so he's like playing both parts of Fight Club.
Right, okay, that's cool.
So he's constantly getting kicked out of his apartments because they hear like horse clopping. Like from the downstairs neighbors are complaining about, is there a goddamn horse upstairs? And it's actually just like delusional Greg stomping around with horseshoes on his feet.
Right. So he thinks he's the knight and the horse. Like I don't know if like people have that kind of delusion where they like when they have multiple personalities, if anyone's ever actually thought they were a horse and or are they always human?
Good question. I'm sure there are cases.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew a girl in like middle school that swore she was reincarnated from a wolf.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, she was weird.
No doubt, but I'm curious. Like, I'd like to meet someone who swore they were reincarnated from a wolf.
Yeah, she would like howl and stuff. And
that was going to be my question. What characteristics carried over?
Yeah, she would like clean herself, like lick her paws and stuff. And and she told me that like she was trying to find her reincarnated like pack mates. That was like her life's purpose.
Interesting.
And I was just like, okay, I'm gonna go that way.
Yeah,
where the people that aren't throwing their leg behind their head and trying to clean their naughty bits.
Right. I mean, I like
that was impressive.
Wait, she actually did that?
No.
Okay. I was gonna say that would be impressive. a little bit gross, but impressive.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I admire about dogs is their complete lack of shame.
Oh yeah.
Like they just
too.
yeah, they all just live their lives. They just do what they
Mhm.
do.
They do
No
what they do.
apologies, no regrets,
No taxes.
no
No
taxes,
fascism.
no fascism. True story.
Uh,
Oh, I sense that you're trying to nudge me onto the topic. We were gonna get there. We're gonna get there.
yeah, yeah. Before I start talking about more middle school weird girls, because there were a lot of them. Not, not
Oh,
just
no doubt.
the wolf girl.
Yeah. I mean, that could be a topic unto itself at some
Yeah.
point. Wilfred, by the way, Wilfred was the name of that show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's really close to what I was going to just like blurt out when you said I watched this show.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking about a horse. I was going to say Wilbur. Was that the name of that show with the talking horse?
It was
Back
Mr.
in like the 60s.
I don't know. It might even be older. I don't know.
Yeah.
Mr. Ed.
Yeah, Mr. Ed.
I
Yeah,
think the
that's
guy
all I
he
remember
talked
is the
to.
horse saying Wilbur.
Yeah, I think that was the human.
Yeah, Wilbur was the
I don't
human. Ed was the horse, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh Lord, I haven't seen that since I was a very small child on Nickelodeon.
I was reaching for that one.
Yeah, but now that theme song is stuck in my head from that show. I'm not gonna sing it.
No, I've seen like one episode.
Yeah, I've probably seen two, but the theme song was very memorable to me, apparently. Oh well, but yeah. So enough about all that. Let's talk about American fascism. How do you like that segue?
Enough fun stuff.
Enough fun. Enough merriment.
Let's get into the not fun.
On to Nazis and despair.
Great segue.
I thought so. Not necessarily as smooth as your segue in the last episode.
I remember it being smooth. I do not remember what it was.
Same. Like I was retroactively intoxicated when we made that. I wasn't actually drunk, but now that we're talking about the last episode, I feel that I was. Because I don't remember what we said.
I was.
Oh, you were.
I was
you were actually intoxicated. Yeah. That's helpful.
Yeah.
Lubricates the mind.
It does. Lubricates the flow.
Yeah. Ant flow. I was on my period during the last episode.
Oh, let's not get into that one.
All right, let's not, because we're talking about fascism.
And how it applies.
Right. How does it apply to us today? And I mean, okay, like here's something that happened. Like, things will have occurred beyond what we know as we record this by the time that it goes up in a few weeks. But so what are your thoughts on the Supreme Court leak about this, right? About the,
I am aware. Yes.
Roe v. Wade.
Yes. If you are plugged in at all, you are at least somewhat aware of the disaster that is quickly approaching.
Right. It's like a slow boil. It's been going on for a while. But yeah, so what are your thoughts? How do you feel?
I haven't actually looked into the leaked documents, but the gist of it is that it is of the opinion of the current seats on the Supreme Court that Roe v. Wade should be overturned. Yeah. Which will lead to 13 trigger states immediately putting a ban on all abortions.
Right. And more potentially, because
absolutely.
It was an interpretation, and I don't know, that's why, Autodidactica, we're autodidacts. We don't know crap sometimes, but Roe v. Wade was before I was born. I have always lived, you and I both have always lived in a post Roe v. Wade decision world, just like we've always lived in a post desegregation world.
Right.
So those things, it never, I don't know all of the details, but it was some law regarding personal privacy, and however they interpreted that led to legal abortion in the United States. And yeah, if you're listening to this in another country, we are talking about United States right now in particular, because that's where we're at. But
Yes,
you're seeing
supposedly developed country.
Right. But you're seeing fascist movements rise all over the world right now, probably as a result of it rising in America, or at least trying to. It has reared its ugly head. But yeah,
and there are certain characteristics that are present that, they're not, obviously we do not have a full-blown fascist regime in office, but there are many aspects of totalitarianism that have been displayed by our supposedly representative democracy.
Right. Which, I mean, that term in quotation marks, I mean,
representative democracy,
right,
in the words of Dr. Evil.
And I mean, you and I are also both living in Texas, yes, where it's even worse, because I mean, this abortion thing, and when that's what I was going to get to, like, yeah, immediately I think like 20 states will immediately outlaw abortion for poor people. I had was 13, let's be real.
Like in their abortion clauses, in their laws regarding abortion, in 13 states, there is a clause that is the trigger clause, to where if Roe v. Wade is ever overturned, then there will be an immediate ban on all abortions, no holds barred. And that, that's heard from, one of my woman friends who is plugged into the issue. So I took her word for that. But yeah, I suspect other states will just follow suit.
Right.
Because that is why Roe v. Wade is important, is because it is wherever a state like Alabama just completely bans all abortions, there will be organizations that sue the state in federal court. And they stand on the precedent set by Roe v. Wade. If Roe v. Wade is overturned, then when they try to sue the state over the infringement on human rights, they now have no Supreme Court precedent to stand on if Roe v. Wade is overturned.
Right. And this Supreme Court was deliberately designed by Republican presidents to
like
do
a sports team.
These things. Yeah. Like a sports team.
Yep. But they went and drafted their guys that were going to do what they wanted to do even after they were out of office.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's a whole nother topic, is the fact that the Supreme Court has too much power as it is.
Oh yeah, they have way too much power. Sort of lost my train of thought there. You got me thinking on another direction.
Yeah.
When you said
sports the team. Fact that Republican presidents over the last
it's deliberate.
Appointed. Yeah.
And like it's going to affect other things being based on a privacy law, like gay rights, for example. And that is the plan. There have been leaks over the years with, Republican politicians saying the quiet part out loud. And, another thing I read recently was saying that plan is in place with, of course, Texas Governor Greg Abbott, and that's why they make these crazy draconian laws. It's so that it will go to the Supreme Court. Like he made those draconian abortion laws here in Texas with the bounty hunters and stuff to push it to the Supreme Court, because someone's going to sue. And the Supreme Court is ready at the bat to knock Roe v. Wade out of our lives once someone gets it to them. They're going to do the same thing. Like with gay rights, gay marriage equality, like immediately you're going to see Republicans outlaw it, even though the Supreme Court has ruled in favor of it in the past because they wanted to go to the Supreme Court. Now that the Supreme Court is doing what they've been bought to do.
Yeah. Now they're stacked with, conservatives.
Yeah.
Republican conservatives, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing wrong with conservatism.
If
there
it's
is a problem
true.
when it becomes Republican conservative. Republicans.
Yeah, like what the Republican Party has become.
Yeah, is not true conservatism.
No, it's legitimately
it's outright biblical, bigotry.
Yeah, it is absolute. Man, like I have so many things to say just to that one thing, just biblical bigotry, like, because I mean, let's define fascism, because a lot of words get thrown around in political discourse, like socialism, and that are supposed to scare you, and people don't really know what they mean. But like we were talking about abortion and fascism, that fits into fascism because
it does.
It's a religious push. Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Because I looked up the definition of fascism, or
cool,
at least a couple videos describing it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I looked it up too. Like as a writer, I'm constantly looking up the meaning of words I use daily because I'm paranoid I'm going to get it wrong.
Yeah.
It's a common thing with writers. But yeah, I looked it up too. Like before I was like, it's like religious and
Hitler
national did. Just
and there haven't been too many like legitimized fascist regimes that the world has seen,
right? None that last or that gain tremendous global power. But right, just for the sake of the listeners, fascism is, I mean, here's what I looked up on Google to steal these words.
Please, because I didn't do that.
Okay. And it says better what my understanding of it was to begin with. It's far right, authoritarian, ultra nationalism, dictatorial power, forcible suppression of opposition, and strong, I can't write. My handwriting is terrible. Strong regimentation of society and economy.
That more or less fits in with my understanding of it. However, just a small point on the first bullet point of the definition you just gave. One of the videos I was watching was that some people have said that fascism actually defies the political spectrum and is neither left nor right, because it sits outside both of those concepts, because it's what we define as being right-wing. I can't argue that it definitely shares the fascist regimes we have seen tend to share
right-wing ideologies.
Yes. Did you say ideologies?
Ideologies, because it's right-wing.
Yeah. No, I like that. I like that influctuation there. That inflection. Sorry, Autodidactica, everybody.
We make up words. Oh, remind me, bring up made up words when we're signing off. I have an interesting story to share with you and the listeners. Not a story, just a little factoid. But and like the right left thing, gosh, we're like kind of all over the place, but that's us.
That's fascism.
Like this is our fascist podcast. But yeah, it's dictatorial power. Like it's kind of like what we saw with the president, who we dare not speak his name, or like I don't like to say
guy.
Yeah, the toupee guy, that big orange baboon we had in office for 4 years. Right. This show is probably not for you if you're a right-wing Republican. Just saying. Unless you want to listen to us, which you are welcome to do. We value that. Hate us.
Tell me I'm going to burn in hell, please.
Right. I got that on one of my YouTube videos. I felt proud. Like I'd earned a badge of honor.
Yeah. You're an Eagle Scout of burning in hell.
Yes. But yeah, so like with the last presidential, I almost said regime,
It's
but
true.
it is true. Yeah, let's call it that, the regime. Um, it was a guy who wanted dictatorial power,
Hmm.
forcible suppression of opposition. That's the voter registration. That's the January 6th insurrection.
Yeah.
Was, we can't, and in this case, democracy itself is the opposition. That's
Yeah.
why they're trying to push all these voter suppression laws to make it harder to vote because, and, back to saying the quiet part out loud, like one senator, and this is something I should have looked up to have the specifics. But a couple months back, one senator was saying, like, well, if everyone voted, Republicans would never get elected anymore. It's like, yeah, you weren't supposed to say that part out loud, buddy, but
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
is what's behind all of these laws.
It's true. It's very true.
It's like Texas is demographically pretty much identical to California.
Yeah. And
But
that's
they're
not because Californians have moved here.
right, exactly.
Especially, it's actually the opposite because the Californians that moved here left because they wanted to go to a more red state. Like the liberals are not leaving California.
Right. Well, I thought it was because the state just bursts into flame once or twice a year.
It's true. That's also true. Very
Yeah,
true.
but you're probably right. Like people who are scared of the hippie liberals or tired of them in
Mhm.
California come
Yeah.
to
Tired of having
Texas.
their wealth taxed to such a degree.
Right. Right.
You know,
Um
I can't buy another, Bentley because they keep taxing me.
right. Meanwhile, here in Texas, they raise taxes on the working poor. They've
Yeah.
created the working poor.
Yeah. Oh, and that actually, I have a point if I may,
Oh,
that sort
dude.
of swings it back around to the current events of Roe v. Wade and
Uh-huh.
the horrible state of women's reproductive rights.
Right.
Um, but in regard to fascism in Nazi Germany, I did not know this. Uh, there was compulsory legal abortion in the cases of deformity or non-Aryan features
Ah.
in the child. So if the child was going to be a special needs child,
Mm-hmm.
it was legal and often compulsory for the mother to abort. And um, and then if there were non-Aryan characteristics as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, so basically, if you were involved in a interracial marriage,
Yeah.
in Germany, and that child was going to be half black, half white, then if the government found out about it, they could force you to get a compulsory abortion. Now, I highly doubt most women did that.
Mm-hmm.
They probably, I don't want to speculate too much, but I would suspect that most women would probably try to keep it on the DL as much as possible,
Right.
and
They
or
try to
try to
hide the
flee.
birth.
Right.
Yeah. Or flee.
But the
Just
other side of that coin is abortion was made illegal in the
mm-hmm.
cases of healthy Aryan babies. And
right.
so the government was dictating, this fascist government was dictating women's rights to choose, but they were
Mm-hmm.
on both sides. Abortion, they have no problems with, as long as it's not you cannot abort the people that we want to be born.
Right.
And that leads me to American stances on abortion.
Mm-hmm.
They are regulating they're basically regulating who and who cannot be born.
Right.
Who do they want born? They want at all costs the pitiful working class to
mm-hmm.
keep being born.
Right.
They cannot allow, smart, upstanding citizens who, or anyone
educated.
otherwise, to abort a potential paycheck into the tax system.
Mm-hmm.
They cannot allow, a already poverty-stricken mother to not bring in another poverty-stricken child.
Right. It can't allow her to get out of poverty.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she's there to generate money for the rich,
Hmm.
is what it is. And we need more people to generate money for the rich. We need more people
To
to
fall
buy
into a life of crime.
products. Yeah, do all the things, like you feed the prison system,
Hmm.
like all of those things. It's regimentation of society, it's,
Exactly. And
and I
I just
mean,
found that parallel so interesting because if you look at what Nazi Germany was doing, they were deciding who and who should not be born.
mhm,
And then so when you look at how American politics are trying to decide, or American politics are determining abortion laws, and then you break it down to they're trying to decide who can and cannot be born, and you draw those parallels between
mhm,
American democracy and Nazi fascism,
right.
and you can see that they both have an idea of who and they want to be born and
Mhm,
why they want them to be born, and that's essentially what it comes down to.
right. And it's, once they're born, they don't care about them anymore. It's,
Right.
get a job, kid. That's why they've
Yeah,
been
no,
trying to get rid of
grow up
child
in the
labor laws.
and then join the military.
Yes. And go fight to make rich people richer. It's all about,
Yeah.
yeah. And like,
And
in
that's
the law,
fascism right there.
mhm,
Fascism had a huge impact
the
on the military.
economy, yes.
It was a militarized economy meant to serve the purpose of nationalistic
Mhm,
military exploits.
yeah. And it's kind of like, like one thing that really frustrates me is the voters who put these people in power against their own best interests.
Mhm.
It's like what you mentioned, sports teams earlier. It's like people view politics, a political party, is the way they do sports teams, where
Right.
it's like, I am a Republican, like Jesus. Like, I'm I'm a Republican, and therefore I must vote Republican. Um, and Republicans have embraced Christian nationalism, like
Right.
and that's, so you think, like, there are people who are actually believe that if you don't vote Republican, you're voting against Jesus, even though they
Right.
don't have the values at all, like,
You're
of
cheering for the
gospel.
visiting team.
Exactly. And they think that all people who vote Democrats are gay, atheist, transgender people who want to break into bathrooms and peek at people while they're peeing.
While
And
smoking weed.
right, while smoking weed. None of, I mean, I'm sure there's the odd person who fits that description,
Yeah, there's
but
probably one like Florida person.
right. Yeah.
Sorry to Florida viewers.
Yeah, sorry, upstanding Florida listeners, but the guy.
You know
Like,
what
you
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 did
know
back during the Bush election.
he's in your state, like, or she or they in your state is the one crooked, all
I'm
of the
pretty sure
above.
what you mentioned about that was a Florida headline. That little spiel you went on a minute ago.
Probably. Oh well. But yeah,
Yeah, treating
fashion.
them like sports teams, it's not sustainable.
No, it's self-destructive,
Hmm.
because they are not like sports teams. This is not root for the home team. The home team is
And then
you.
go home.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, oh good, we won. Woohoo. But you lost, because it's all about winning, and the politicians convince everyone that it's all about winning, but really stop and examine your values and put them up next to the political party. Well, both political parties. I think every voter should be an independent voter.
Mhm.
Personally, that's what I think, because the basic, what's the word I'm looking for? I mentioned I'm exhausted, right?
You
But
did.
like the basic principles of each party have flipped. Like in the late 1960s, early 1970s, I believe, is when the Republicans went with what they called the Southern strategy, where it's kind of like, oversimplified version, the Democrats were the right. The
Yes.
Republicans were the
Factoring Andrew
left,
Jackson.
which, and yeah, it flipped because the Republicans, like the way I see it, and again, very oversimplified, it's like the Democrats got a little bit woke to social issues, at least in the North. And the Republicans saw an opportunity to get the Southern voters who felt
Right, they're all just
abandoned by the
catering.
Democratic Party. And it's been, they could have said, okay, good, now we're all woke to social issues. But no, they did not do that. And now we've got what we've got. Yeah. It's like we had a game show host for president who wanted to wreck the world for 4 years.
Who, conspired with a arguably, enemy country in order to get elected. And that's not up for debate. Like, that was literally proven.
Right.
He had, that Russia interfered in this, in that election to get Donald Trump to increase his chances of getting elected.
Right. No, Putin admitted it live on national television. I watched it as it happened. And they asked him, did you interfere with our election to help Trump win? Win. And he said, yes, I did.
Yeah.
Just like that. And
just like that.
It's like, I'm like,
game show host for president, everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's bad, but that's a guy who's trying to like bring back the Soviet Union. He's trying to conquer other countries. Yeah. So he wants to destabilize countries like the United States, who are basically the only reason he can't be Hitler.
Right. Not that he wants to be. You probably think Hitler's a jackass, but
right. Well, it's kind of like IT people, like the IT people come in and they're like, oh, your last IT guy was a dumbass. This is how it should, no matter what, they always say that. So,
but Putin,
power mad dictators. Yeah. But he probably doesn't think well of other power mad dictators.
Yeah, no, because in one of the videos that I watched today about fascism, one of the things that they said is fascism as a political ideology is a response to materialistic capitalism and socialism. And it's true, because it's sort of like, basically, when obviously we're talking a lot about Nazi Germany because they are the literal biggest example of fascism in recent history. One of the only
World War II
world-renowned regimes, one of the only ones that toted the flag of fascism.
Right.
And basically, fascism seeks to abolish the perceived weaknesses in democracy and republic ideology. And through the means of often, population control and presiding over the economy, and then turning the economy and flipping that into military gains, and everything goes. It's over nationalistic, and it seeks equality through purging, essentially. Like it is seeking a form of equality, but it is not the ideal form of equality that most people seeking enlightenment would consider equality.
Right, exactly. It's it's a parallel to Nazi Germany, like you said. Like, what's happening with the modern Republican Party is that they're hell-bent on making us all fear the other and defining any group as the other. They've been on a tear about transgender people recently.
Yes.
they're, all confronted about gay people getting married. They're trying to make you afraid of, like, and I mean, I guess when you're talking to your base, and your base is mostly much older white people who maybe were pre-desegregation white people, like, they're scared of black people because they don't know any black people, probably not really. And so it's easy to make
Yeah.
them scared. Black people are the other. Immigrants are the other. Like, anyone with darker skin is scary to white people. And,
Right. They're going to take your jobs.
right, they're going to take your jobs, whatever. It's all ridiculous, but it's just trying to make you afraid, otherizing people. That's what Hitler did.
Yes.
Like, to a terrible extreme.
Absolutely.
But
And that's why you don't do meth, kids.
don't do meth.
You become Hitler.
Right. You'll become Hitler. Don't get me started on meth. My Lyft driver days. I have too many zany stories. All the right, all the methed out Hitlers in my back seat trying to sell me some meth. But yeah, no, I don't want to be Hitler. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, but these are all the things we're describing are like legitimate, like, fascist ideology that is embedded itself and masquerading as a political party, a representative political party.
Right.
Because that's the thing, is our representation is supposed to represent what its constituents are about, where instead it's the reverse. Our representative party is telling what the constituents should be about. And there is a term for that when it applies to voting. I can't remember what it is from my college days, where there's a term for when a representative votes in line with what its constituents want. And there's a term, and then there's the opposite term for when they vote in line with what they believe is best for their constituents. And I feel like those two terms, whatever they may be, do not fully encompass the voting portfolio of most representatives today, because I feel like the other one is, you have to talk about interest groups.
Bought politicians, like 80% of people are opposed to Roe v. Wade being overturned. 80% of voters, they don't care. Like, there's all this stuff that they're just, like, most gun owners are in favor of better gun control laws, of sensible gun control laws. It's just, we have to have a conversation about what that is. But everybody wants something to be done about all the mass shootings going on in this country. But the Republicans are beholden to the gun lobby. They're bought. They don't care what their constituents actually want. They care about people who give them money and what they want. So they aren't even voting for what they think is best for their constituents. They couldn't care less about their constituents, whether they live or die.
They are, it's what you said about the winning thing. To the politicians make it out to be, it's all about winning. We have to win. Republicans have to win. We have to win more seats. And so the voters go out to make sure that their team wins. And they don't even care that their rights are being stripped away by the people they just voted for.
Right, exactly. Like, these people, they want sensible gun laws. They want the right to have an abortion if they so choose. They want, they aren't homophobic largely. Like, if you actually talk to people, they go, I don't have any problem with gay people. Then why do you vote Republican? But they'll go out and vote because they need their guy to win. And it's ridiculous. They're destroying themselves. They're voting literally against their own interests for politicians. And then, all the Republicans do is say, it's Obama's fault. Like, and then they'll buy that because then it lets their team off the hook. if they buy into that BS. Like I saw someone on Facebook, a very white right-wing person, a white ring,
Yeah.
whatever, same thing. White wing, right wing, yeah. And she was talking about how, or it was a comment on something about how the cost of housing is skyrocketing in this country right now. And she made a comment about how it's all thanks to Obama. And I'm like, we're 2 presidents later now, right? Like Greg
why
Abbott.
wasn't Obama in the White House on 9/11? Probably on
Right.
vacation.
No, they think things like that. Like, oh, it's all Obama's fault. It's all the black president's fault. It's basically, it lets them be racist and it lets them not blame their own party. But plus, they also watch state news, like Fox News. Like, I've had people in my Lyft mobile talking about Fox News and how they only watch Fox News. And they straight up say, because, like, they tell me what I want to hear. Like, I feel better when I watch Fox News because I'm hearing what I want to. And I'm like, but it isn't true. It's like the other news shows just make it out like things are so bad. And I'm like, they show you what's going on. They actually,
and it's not, and no, there's hardly any like actual news program out there.
Oh, I agree.
That is actual, like, because you want your news program to be unbiased.
Mm-hmm.
And just show current events.
Yeah, just here is what happened.
But opinion pieces are what rake in the dough.
Right, that's what gets the ratings.
The thing about Fox News is, like, Fox News has good, like, local news, like local coverage. But it's whenever, like I'm talking, like,
the cable network. News, yeah.
Because that's not opinion based. They're often just reporting headlines, reporting what's happening. And that's it. But then it's when you turn it on the next day at 3:00 in the afternoon, and it's an opinion editorial. It's an opinion piece from Tucker Carlson or something.
Yeah.
Where he is just going off. And that's Fox News' core right there.
Right. Because
especially now with social media, where you don't even have to turn on the TV, you will hear about what Tucker Carlson ranted about. In a madman's rant that has no factual standing whatsoever.
Yeah.
And you will hear about that if you are plugged into social media and are plugged into anybody that is involved in any capacity into the political sphere right now.
Yeah. True story.
And, it's just, I'm dragging all my friends to vote.
Oh, yeah.
Me too. Just like, hey, you registered? All right, well, be ready come election day because I will drag you kicking and screaming to your poll booth.
Yeah, good.
I'm taking the day off of work. You will take the day off of work. I know you don't use your vacation days because you're just like me. And so we will all take the day off of work and we're all going to vote. Like, hey, you woman there that complains about all this stuff.
Right, woman who wants rights, woman who wants to be a person in the eyes of the law.
Against the person that wants to make you not a person.
Yeah, the person who wants to make you cattle.
Yeah,
basically livestock.
And it's because when it comes to abortion, especially, like you will hear, is like. Banning abortion only bans safe abortions. For one thing.
Right. And it only bans abortions for the poor.
Rich do not fly to the rich.
Right. The rich people can fly to a state where it's legal. You know, that's.
Oh, I'll fly to a state where it's legal. I'll make some money one way or another. Only through an illegal means. But,
Wait, you'll make some money?
Yeah, like, because I couldn't afford, a $600 round trip to go get an abortion.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
$2,500. I don't know how much abortion costs. I feel like it's around there.
I hope not. I don't know. I've never had one.
I think it depends on what you need
Mm-hmm.
in terms how far along you are and all that good stuff.
Right. And another thing
This
about that,
topic has pretty much become about current events.
it has, but I mean, because it's relevant. It's like it's what's going on.
It is, yeah.
But like the outlawing abortion thing, it's like this is something they don't, it's kind of like they don't really think things through. It's like
No.
that's why they're so hell-bent on dismantling education, banning books, controlling our ideas. It's our access
No
to
sexual
ideas.
education in school.
Yeah, don't talk about
Abstinence only
racism.
sexual education.
Yeah, which is just so ineffective.
My health teacher in school was straight up like, would anybody like to speak about sexual education? Because I cannot tell you anything other than do not have sex.
Yeah, which is ridiculous because
so
what
the
teenager?
whole class was like, every kid in class, like, one girl chimed in and was like, use condoms.
Mhm.
Then everybody else is like, yeah, use protection, get on birth control, go to Planned Parenthood. So like the class was like about it. The class was like very aware that at least half of the class was sexually active at that time.
Right.
But the state says the teacher will get fired if she mentions contraceptives and, safe sex.
Yeah. And I mean, that's kind of like something else I wanted to mention is, like the law they passed, what state was it, where you can't mention gender?
Florida.
Like, Florida. Oh, is it Florida?
It's Florida.
Okay, it's not surprising. I didn't want to make an assumption when I didn't remember.
No, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, but like, okay, so you can't talk about gender identity. You can't talk about sexual orientation. And they didn't
it's
realize.
The new don't ask, don't tell.
Right, but they didn't realize that the wording of that bill means you can't talk about straight people either. It's like you can't talk about gender identity. You can't have boys and girls bathrooms at your school then, right? It's like you're not allowed to mention mommy and daddy. You have to say parents. You're not you as a teacher cannot identify as male or female. Everyone is now a they. So it's kind of like, and there are a couple of teachers who are determined to obey the law for that reason.
To a literal degree.
Yeah, just to make a point about how idiotic the whole thing is.
Right. What are they going to do when they get to, talking about the animal kingdom? Do they have to call every lion a they?
Right. Everyone's a they, because you can't, like, you're going to teach about George Washington. They were the first president of the United States. Yeah. And they had a spouse. Like, you can't say whether George Washington was male or female.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's the first revolutionary flag.
Yeah, and the abortion thing is no different in that they really weren't thinking it through. Hopefully, at least on some level, they weren't thinking this part through. Where like abortions are not just people deciding they do not want to carry a pregnancy full term.
Yeah.
Sometimes there is a miscarriage that doesn't come out, and you have to have an abortion procedure to remove the dead baby from your body. And that would now be illegal, which, if you're pro-life, folks, means the mother probably gets infections and dies if she can't have that procedure done. Yes. Which is not a pretty way to go.
No, absolutely not. So and, they are not thinking things through. And it is to a ridiculous extent. Especially, like I've said before, like the extent to which a man can have an opinion on whether or not a woman should have an abortion or not extends to his own child. And then at that, it is only an expression of wanting to keep it.
Right. He can express his opinion, but he should
express
not
his opinion to want to keep his own child, as in telling the potentially scared bearer of his child
Mm-hmm.
that I want you to carry this child to term.
Right.
And that is the extent to which a man has precedence over
or
a woman's
should
decision
have.
to carry a child to term.
Right. He should not be able to make decisions for her. It's
And if
her body.
And if he is adamant about it, then she can either give in to his, hold on, Autodidactica, adamancy. I don't know.
Oh, I'll accept
the
that.
state of being adamant.
Right.
You know, she can either give into it, or she can break off the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if he is going to be that, much of a dick about it.
Right, but it should be her choice.
Right.
And that's
because in a perfect world, it's like when it comes to reproduction, it should be your choice no matter what, in every aspect.
Right.
I was talking about this as well.
Mm-hmm.
About, because there's the common satire that, so if you're so much against abortion, all men should get vasectomies.
Right.
And like, I get the satire behind that.
Uh-huh.
But like, I've seen people that will like toe the line on that.
Mm-hmm.
And like make it about that. And then will argue with people about vasectomies.
Right.
And I'm like,
as in making it mandatory by law,
just rolling with the satire. So yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Because there have been satirical bills introduced in some states where they're just trying to make a point. They don't actually want the bill to pass. They know it never will.
Right.
But yeah. And then the right gets all up in arms. Well, they want to make they want to regulate men's bodies. Why are you mad about that, but not about regulating women's bodies?
It's a great way to get people talking about the point that is trying to be gotten across. Mm-hmm. Because, but that's the thing, is some people think too far into it. Mm-hmm. and think that and take the satire so literally,
right,
that they're willing to defend it. When I'm like, you're literally defending satire when the point of satire is to get people, is to not defend the satire to the extent to where you are actually defending the awful thing you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Because that is what's happening. There's, if you're in some sort of English class in high school, like in my advanced English classes, one of the first satires to read about is when the potato famine was happening. They talk about eating children.
Okay.
Yeah, they also talk about eating the rich.
Mm-hmm. But it's not like you're actually like, no, we really should, because I hear they go really well with gravy. Like babies and gravy.
Get so far into the satire that they're willing to defend the satire. I'm like, you are making an issue out of a non-issue.
Right. Exactly.
Like, yes, vasectomies and birth control in general play a role in the discussion about reproductive rights and abortion.
Mm-hmm.
They are worth mentioning and bringing up. But whenever you take it so far to like defend and tote and like, you're just missing the point, essentially.
Yeah, pretty much, because I mean, satire is supposed to expose the absurdity of reality and get people talking about it.
Right. But you, as the author of a social media post with a generous platform, cannot get distracted. And that's the thing, is you've got idiots with large platforms.
Oh yeah.
That
very loud idiots.
Yes. That just like toe the line on satirical, composition to the extent to where they are now defending satire. To the extent to where, it's a moot point at that point, because you're not getting to the meat of what the satire is trying to expose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true. And I mean, there's so much ignorance and misunderstanding in our political discourse in this country There's so
Right.
much people don't really know what they're saying or talking about. Like not just with satire, but like political cartoons. Um, like when you see a liberal political cartoon comparing Trump to other fascist regimes, Hitler, say,
Right.
there are actual things we can point to that he has said and done, and then we can point to Hitler, things he has actually said and done. Whereas you would see in the Obama era political cartoons comparing Obama to Hitler because they drew a Hitler mustache on him.
Right. They're
But they
reaching.
couldn't, yeah, they couldn't actually point to anything outside of conspiracy theories. I like to, when people complain about, what a dictator Obama was, I like to point out, yeah, remember when he took away all our guns, and when he like imposed martial law and curfews and made us all, he conquered Texas and put us all in abandoned Walmarts.
Yeah.
Remember when that happened? They were all convinced it was happening. Never happened.
No, and my Facebook statuses in 2012 were very politically charged.
I remember.
And and one of the ones I said was like, I hope Obama personally comes to your house and takes your guns.
I remember that one, honestly.
Little 17-year-old Matt Paul was very done with it all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And like, I don't know. And that was kind of, the Obama years were eye-opening for me as,
Yeah.
A man living in a bubble of white privilege.
No, and not only that, but it also makes you realize that labels aren't everything. You think Obama wants to be known as the first black president?
Right. That's
Like he just wants to be known as a president and a good one if he can help it.
right.
And but he's got to carry that weight on his shoulders of being the first black president.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I
Having
remember
his nationality constantly under
questioned.
fire.
Yeah. Like, and I remember during the two times Obama ran and won president, how the right would always point at us and say, you just want him to be the president so there will be a black president. And they would act like we're making it all about a black president. Or Hillary, you just want a woman president. Here, we'll run this incredibly stupid woman against someone, because then you'll vote since you just want a woman. Like, what? But that was never what it was about for a liberal vote. It was icing.
Whenever Hillary won the candidacy. Because I was like, really? Really? Like Bernie Sanders got scrubbed again with
right.
the DNC hacking and all of that nonsense.
Oh, but Bernie Sanders, I think in the last primary I voted for Bernie Sanders before we actually had the candidate chosen. I'm trying to remember.
I did, yeah, because I made a status the next day. It was one of the few statuses that I make on my social medias nowadays that aren't band related, and it was literally all I said in my status was Joe fucking Biden. Right. But I think I said seriously, because I was not happy with the Democratic choosing.
Right. But I still voted for Hillary, when it came to the actual election. It's like Hillary versus Trump. Duh. Like, who am I gonna vote for? It's like you have the actual, on paper, most qualified person to ever run for president against the actual, on paper, least qualified person to ever run for president. Everyone, the majority voted for the most qualified person. And thank you, Electoral College, or thanks, Obama, the one who we didn't vote for and who is the least qualified is now the president for 4 years.
I still thanks Obama has become an ironic quip of mine.
Yeah.
Where anytime any minor inconvenience happens to me, I'm just like, thanks, Obama.
Right. Because I mean, it's a joke.
Yeah,
Like,
because
let's
they've
blame
made
Obama for everything.
wherever somebody cuts me off on 635.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Obama.
Obama. like anytime something they put sugar in my coffee at Starbucks. Thanks, Obama.
Yeah. Like, I know people on Facebook who would chime in with you as the not getting the satire and think that you're on their side. Oh, I know. Obama makes all the coffees get sugar.
Ever since Obama, my coffee just tastes sweet every time. It doesn't matter if there's sugar in it or not. It tastes like liberal coffee.
Liberal coffee. I like it.
I like my coffee how I like my government. Discriminatory and
it's like, what? Rich and white? Rich, white, and Christian. And male. My coffee needs a penis. Okay.
My coffee needs assigned gender roles.
The gender it was born with. Sir, it's coffee. It doesn't have a gender.
Hey, I'm biologically male, so my coffee needs to be biologically female because I ain't gay.
I'm not gonna put my lips on any male coffee cup. I like it.
Wait till they find out that plants, have male and female genders.
Right. It's like every plant is technically a they.
Yeah,
they, them.
Until seeding starts happening.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I mean, talk to pot growers.
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk about male and female plants? They know all about it.
Oh, right. Yes, and we'll tell you at length.
Yes, to the extent that I do not care.
Yeah, fun times. Yeah. But they don't. People just don't think. They don't think things through. They don't want to examine things critically. Critical thinking is what's really missing from the political discourse. And that's what I think has largely led to the rise of fascism, is an absence of critical thinking being taught in schools and being practiced by the voting public.
And social media has just only compounded the issue.
Right. Everything's a meme.
Right. And everything's a meme, and also everything's news.
Mm-hmm.
Like people will take every conspiracy they see on social media,
mm-hmm.
and then do the most basic of research, nitpicking and cherry picking for the things that support their conspiracy theory, and then take it as fact. And everybody else is just a sheep.
Right. In their eyes, everyone who doesn't believe this outlandish headline or this meme is a sheeple.
Like a friend of mine the other day posted a status, and all they said was, they were riled up from watching a show, and all they said was that they think it's weird if you're not an organ donor.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Oh my God. Did I not expect that to be such a controversial issue?
Mm-hmm.
And people were talking about, I read and have seen stories where doctors will let patients die in order to harvest their organs. So yeah, I'm not an organ donor because I don't want a doctor to let me die to harvest my organs. I'm just like,
right, because that's what doctors are there to do, is harvest your organs for other patients.
Right. And you know how, it just makes no sense.
No.
Because if patient A is dying and needs a transplant, and patient B is dying and needs to be saved, what doctor is like, let me let patient B die. Let them die so I can save other person.
Right. Kill the one who's clearly going to live in order to save the one who's otherwise going to die. Makes zero sense.
Exactly. If anybody's going to die, it's going to be the one that is likely to die.
Mm-hmm.
And then you cannot just like pull a Tokyo Ghoul and just
Mm-hmm.
pull organs out from one person and just put them
Right.
into another person
Without
without a lengthy regulatory process,
right.
and then
Right.
subject to a, you know, investigation afterwards. Like,
Right. And organ donor, it's like you die in a car crash, you're already dead, but your organs are still viable and there are people who need them. But you
and
are
it's very
already
unlikely that
dead.
you're even a match.
Right.
You know, most of the time you are not going to, you know, be a benefit to anybody,
Mm-hmm.
because it doesn't happen like it does in movies.
Right. Yeah, I mean
Like,
everything's very convenient in storytelling usually, like in
right,
movies. It's what serves the plot.
right, exactly. And it just doesn't happen like that
Mm-hmm.
in reality. If you're an organ donor, and I was also like, throughout the 70 plus comments that this person generated from an otherwise just, you know, regular status about an opinion that apparently was so controversial that it had to generate 70 comments of people
Yeah.
that are apparently anti-donor.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I did glean the fact that apparently now you can select like a determination of your organ donor status. I was not
Mm.
aware of that. You are able to dictate what is allowed after you
Ah.
meet your untimely demise.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't aware of that because I'm a donor, but
Mm-hmm.
because I don't care. If I'm dead, I'm dead.
Right.
Like,
When you're dead, what are you gonna do with your organs?
right, nothing.
Yeah.
Can't take them with me. I don't want them.
I mean, it would
I'm
be
trying to
weird
leave
if you
my
could.
physical form.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, you think I want kidneys in the afterlife? No, thank you.
Right.
I'm
Right.
trying
I
to drink a
mean,
bottle of Beam a day in heaven.
with no consequences,
No
none.
consequence.
It's like, yeah, you don't have to worry about your guts when you're dead. But
Yeah,
yeah,
but the
like
fascists will tell you
people,
otherwise.
right? Like it's people get bent over memes and headlines and any little thing. Like everybody's got a dramatic. Everyone's an expert on the
Everyone's an
internet.
expert, just like us.
I was just about to say, case in point.
Welcome to our podcast.
Right. But we own it. We know we're fools.
Yeah,
It's we're just trying. But you
possibly
know,
experts, probably idiots.
right. And I think one of the wisest things you will ever hear anyone say is I stand corrected.
Oh yeah,
Like people don't say
that
that
is big
enough.
dick energy right there.
Right. I stand corrected. Thank you for the lesson. I mean, I've
Yeah,
actually commented to people on Facebook with that a couple of times where I was misinformed about something. And I'm like, okay, I could delete this post to hide the fact that I was misinformed, or I could own it and kind of model that behavior I'd like to see from other people. It's like, thank you for correcting me. You're actually right. It's okay to be wrong. That's when you learn. If you dig your heels in and
bury your head in the
refuse,
sand.
yeah, refuse to accept that you were wrong, you will always be wrong. You will just continue to be wrong.
Yeah,
Like insisting that you're right when you've been proven wrong doesn't make you right. It makes you an idiot. And
yeah.
everyone can see
By
you
definition.
being an idiot. Yeah, exactly. You look it up in the dictionary, that's what it says.
Yeah,
Like someone who doesn't, idiot. One who does not admit fault when fault has been clearly proven.
yeah, and it's just like, we've gone very far off the topic of
Oh yeah.
fascism,
Yeah. I
but
mean, we're a little we're kind of orbiting distant orbit.
yeah, well, because it all relates.
It does.
When you talk about the political spectrum of the United States right now, and
Mm-hmm.
the evidence that shows that a totalitarian regime
Mm-hmm.
is constantly trying to take over,
Right.
then because every one of these senators and representatives all they want, and honestly, regardless of party,
Mm-hmm.
because that's the thing about fascism, is that there is no political parties,
Mm-hmm.
and all Democrats and Republicans really want is to be reelected,
Pretty
if
much. Like they have to
possible.
put most of their energy, I think, into campaigning
Right,
and raising money for campaigning.
right, and not only and voting according to what the people who are likely to vote for them want them to vote for.
Mm-hmm.
And so, which leads me to mostly vote down ballot Democrat.
Same here. Yeah, because
So
it's
I don't like, yes, these guys just want to be reelected.
mm-hmm.
They could probably, a lot of them could probably care less about gay rights as long as they get reelected.
Right. And as you know, I'm fine with them being fake as long as they actually do work towards the goals that align with my values. As long as they, if they run on gay rights, say, and that's one of the reasons I vote for them, then
They better deliver.
Yeah, exactly. They better deliver.
They better not abstain
mm-hmm.
on a vote
right
that relates to the issue.
Mm-hmm.
The Senate better approve the Supreme Court candidate that will vote.
Mm-hmm.
And decide in the favor of the issues that I want them to decide on.
Yeah.
But if the Senate goes in there and just denies every application,
mm-hmm.
or every appointee, I was about to make up a word
right.
there. Appointification.
Appointification. That's a good one. We'll put it in our dictionary.
Every appointing.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think that would be the proper
right
conjugation.
Or every candidate for appointment. Like they're just obstructing.
Right.
They're not really.
Yeah, if my senators obstruct progress,
mm-hmm.
then I'm going to be a little upset.
Right.
But
same.
Would I be more upset if I voted Republican? Probably.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, if you have the same values and only vote Republican because you are quote unquote a Republican, because that's my team, then yeah, if you're paying attention, you should be disappointed, to say the least.
No, it's just like, woman Republicans. What are you doing?
Yeah, what is that? Like, what? Like women who want to be treated like cattle, or like what are they? I want to say I don't remember what they're called, but there's a group of gay Republicans, and it's like, why?
Oh, it's awful.
Why is there a group of gay Republicans? Do you hate yourselves?
Yeah,
I don't understand.
I follow a hashtag on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
It's like guys with long hair.
Uh-huh.
And this dude kept popping up in my feed. And beautiful man.
Uh-huh.
Openly homosexual.
Uh-huh.
Long hair, the package, the whole package. And he was a Trump towing.
What?
Like his whole profile, like he's out there on the streets of different states, touring the country with his MAGA hat on, and like organizing events and rallies. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Do you understand? No, you don't. You can't.
Like, you are beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Let me correct you on several things. Like, what is wrong with you? Like, actually, like, are you being paid, and is it enough?
Right. What? Is it enough to betray yourself and all of your community, all of the LGBTQ plus community?
Like, it better be enough to afford a one bedroom apartment.
Right, for real, because most likely, no.
Yeah.
And he's not getting paid. He's probably just a solid moron.
He probably, like, that's the thing, is people will do anything, like, even like influencers now.
Mm-hmm.
It's a way to become an influencer. It's a way to get your start.
Yeah. To get attention.
It's a way to cater to a hot topic,
mm-hmm.
and generate a following.
Right.
And then feel like you're your own god.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
because that's one of the most satisfying feelings about having a large following is whenever you make a post and it gets thousands of reactions.
yeah, I don't know what that's like, but I believe
Me either.
I am. Yeah, but I mean, I'm sure it is like it's an adrenaline rush. Like I've seen people who leave YouTube, for example, like people who made a career out of being YouTubers, and they talk about that, how it was just kind of running their lives, like their whole sense of self-worth became based on how many likes they got or how many views they got. So yeah, I could see that. Maybe beautiful long hair guy, beautiful long hair maggot, gay maggot was just addicted to the attention. Or maybe he was a solid moron. I mean, it could be,
I
or
say
both.
he falls into both.
Yeah, both. Because there are other ways to get attention.
Right. It's like, you think Trump's going to invite you to his table?
No, yeah, right. He's not gonna invite you to his table full of Big Macs. Like a mountain of Big Macs. You don't get a Big Mac. He doesn't.
No, you don't get one.
No.
Not until you start loving girls.
Right. Yeah, no Big Mac for you until you bang a girl.
Yeah. It's literally a requirement in the Republican manifesto.
Right.
No Big Mac for you till you bang girl.
And then we have an orgy and you dress like girl and we take pictures and yeah, all the things Republicans are opposed to, they're doing.
Yeah.
But like, the number, I'd be interested to see the actual statistic of transgender people who were arrested for doing nefarious things in public restrooms versus Republican politicians who were arrested in public restrooms for doing nefarious things.
Right.
Because I can think of several times I've seen that headline about a Republican politician
resigning because he was having an affair with somebody.
Yeah, just doing something nasty that they're allegedly against, or something they would consider nasty, or something that's actually nasty. Like that they're all opposed
on that. No comment.
What?
Nothing. So if we're going to define what's nasty and what's not, that's a whole nother episode.
Yeah, that's a whole episode. What's nasty?
That will be a private episode.
Right, a private. We'll just do that one for fun. Well, that kind of sounds wrong, but might give the wrong impression. That one will be on our OnlyFans.
Yeah.
What is nasty? Special episode of Autodidactica.
What crosses the line? You decide.
Right. What crosses the line other than this episode? But yeah.
Fascism is nasty.
Yeah, fascists are nasty. There's your answer. Fascists do nefarious things in public restrooms.
Yeah, the only other note that I had on fascism was, and how it relates to the American political sphere currently, is that they highlighted the fact that, once again, Nazi Germany, biggest example, the economy centered around rewarding successful businessmen and abolishing unions.
Right. Which is,
and with the caveat that businesses had to have an open support of, like, they had to have a direct line to supporting the military regime. And I feel like American economics sort of lean towards that direction.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Corporations are given privileges and tremendous weight in the political theater. And whereas unions, while not openly abolished, are heavily frowned upon as being socialistic.
Right.
And painted as being, regressive and, non-beneficial to the worker.
Right. Even though it's totally the opposite.
Right.
Like, I think Lindsey Graham, said today, speaking of dumb Republican senators. Like, you know, about unions and how unions are rising again in this country because they need to.
Right.
And, you know, he was crying about how badly businesses are being treated. It's like, you do not represent the people. The Republican
And-
Party does not represent the people.
Right. Despite their namesake.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
And the problem with unions today is that the economy is so diverse nowadays
Mm-hmm.
that, like, you know, back in the 20s, you know, unions had a place because there were like literally like 5 jobs in the country that you did. And so it was much easier to unionize whenever the economy was stratified in a way that people had common ground.
Mm-hmm.
But nowadays, with such a diverse job, you know, field, it's harder for people to fall under one banner.
Right. It's hard for everyone to unionize, but I think, you know, unions work really well in blue collar settings.
Yeah.
You know, where in any setting where there's a large number of workers who are likely to be exploited and mistreated, underpaid, overworked.
The problem is that like you literally just described American economics.
Right. Which is why unions are coming back. Like,
but that's the thing is, like, as the population has grown and the job market has diversified, like, you know, even if it is a large number of workers, which I would consider, you know, the 500,000s in the country that share the same job title,
right?
That's literally like 0.1% of the overall population. To where even if it is a large number of people that share the same banner, it is a minuscule percentage of the overall population. And that's the issue with unions now, is that there isn't a banner large enough for people to fall under.
I see what you're saying.
I'm an expert in unionization. I haven't looked too much into it. I'm obviously not part of a workers' union,
right?
For, you know, CAD technicians, because we occupy a very small percentage of the job market in the United States.
Right. Yeah. So there's not a union just for that. But, you know, like I was in a union, Teamsters, when I worked for UPS way back in the day.
See, that would be a good union to be a part of. Anybody involved in the mailing industry, that's a strong union if it could get rolling.
Yeah. And I mean, it did good things. It made sure we all had water that, because, you know, you're working in the Texas summer, no AC and a trailer and stuff. Like they, you know, because of unions, like we all got a turkey at Thanksgiving back in the day. It wouldn't do me any good these days, but
turkeys are expensive at Thanksgiving.
Right. But, you know, they were just on top of things. We had really good pay and benefits. Even the part-timers had benefits at UPS because of unions. Unions gave us weekends and 40-hour work weeks, 8-hour work days.
Which is pushing it in modern society. But
right. You know, it feels like
another episode
that's been ignored. And you're right. That is another episode. I think we're getting into spin-off episode territory now. We've eaten fascism for breakfast, and it's time to move on with our day, I think.
Now I gotta go, you know, forcefully vomit.
Right.
Now that I've eaten fascism,
to vomit the fascism out, flush it down the toilet, and be done with it. Everybody vote. That's the takeaway to me. Vote your values. Really examine what your values are and what the politicians' values are. What do they vote for actively? Not just their little pie crust promises. What do they actually do if they're seasoned? You know, like hold them accountable. If you're a
competent human being, that will most likely be down ballot Democrat.
Yeah, pretty much. But, you know, vote your values, and hopefully you're not a fascist. I mean,
hopefully you don't regret it.
Yeah. For real. But anyway, this
You
has
had a
been.
sign-off story.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, so made up words, right?
I can't believe I remembered that.
I'm so glad you did because I totally forgot, which is why I told you to remind me because I know I'm senile. Anyway, um, finger guns. Approve.
Let the Republicans take these bad boys,
um,
or the
the
Democrats. I don't
Democrats,
know.
yeah,
Yeah.
Obama's gonna come for
Yeah.
your finger guns.
The clip size on these. I'll put a silencer on them.
Right. Okay, so I was setting up our email for this podcast, which I'll get to as we actually sign off. But Autodidactica at gmail.com was taken.
No shit.
Yeah, and I'm like, wait, I made that word up. So then I Googled it, Autodidactica, which I could swear I Googled that before we, but maybe not because it was so clearly not a word. Turns out it's Spanish. It's an actual word. It's a Spanish word, and it means pretty much what we want it to mean. But it's
Excellently done.
yeah, but it's not English. So, we're just autodidacts. But I can't remember the exact definition they had for the Spanish translation. I'm like, okay. But it wasn't taken on YouTube. So there's a segue. If you want to get in touch with us, hold us accountable to our stupidity so that we have to say I stand corrected in a future episode, which we will happily and gratefully do.
Not me.
He'll be a bastard about it, but
I will be such a little bitch.
he will be the
And then we'll eventually, concede whenever I'm satisfied.
right. Whenever you get it out of your system,
Yeah.
they'll be like, yeah, you're right. I know.
You were right from the beginning. I just wanted to see how far you'd take it.
Yeah, I just wanted to make you suffer for it.
It's dry while I play the bad guy.
Right. That's a learning technique. Play stupid, and people will give you all the information you never knew you needed. But yeah, so if you want to reach out to us, comments, like if you're watching this via YouTube, you can leave a comment down below. We will read them. If you want to email us, it is autodidacticapodcast at gmail.com. And what was it? I should spell autodidactica, shouldn't I? For the listeners who aren't going to see it on a screen.
That's all you, buddy.
I know. I'm going to have to look. I can't. That's a lot of letters. It's a really long word that I thought I made up. But the Spanish speaking world beat me to it. Okay, so it's AUTODIDACTICA. That's Autodidactica. Just like autodidact, which is a word we all use in our daily lives. And then just add Ica on the end of it. ICA.
What'd you call me?
You heard me, Ica.
That's dangerous. It's
It
like
is.
what I call chicken nuggets sometimes.
Wait, I totally lost what you said. You said you called.
Don't worry about it.
I'm going to worry about it. I'm going to not be able to sleep now. But yeah. All right. So that's how you can reach out to us. We're on the internet. We live there, kind of, sort of, but we hide. If you go to my author website, glennslade-clark-jr.com, you can access my other YouTube channel, my Twitter, my novels, all of it's there. It's my temple to my own narcissism. And Matt's band.
Yeah, My Perfect 10. New stuff coming soon. Potentially. Probably. Maybe.
Hopefully. Surely.
Hopefully. I paid for it, so.
So new stuff coming soon. And y'all have a YouTube channel too, and you're all over. You're all over the place. Pretty much anywhere you can download music. My Perfect End.
I'm everywhere and nowhere at the same time.
I like it. Works for me. All right. So until next time. This has been Autodidactica. dare you to spell it.
Bet you
And
can.
yeah, I bet you can. I bet I can't. But anyway, we're signing off for the week or 2 weeks, the bi-weekly cycle, whatever. And we will talk to you all next time, whether you like it or not.